So let's take a step back in order to take a step forward. And that's really what Carlos Dominguez is going to help us with, bringing the Cisco perspective of a major corporation that's leveraging technology, leveraging media to support and bolster communication as we move forward into this glorious and bold age. Carlos.
How's everyone doing? Right, make some noise. Let's have some fun here. My name is Carlos Dominguez, and I work for Cisco Systems, and if you can put the slides up for me, please. And I am a self-proclaimed technowist. Now, everyone's probably asking, what the heck is a technowist? A technowist is someone that embraces change, that understands what technology is available, experiments with that technology, and ultimately, you get to leverage it. And that's what, it's all about. So one of my goals here is, in some capacity, make all of you a technowist. And as soon as my slides get on here, we'll continue. The other thing I wanted to point out is, I don't know if you know, there's my technowist slide. So you've seen it. You missed the joke. So let's talk about the location that we're in. And this is really, being a technowist, this is a very interesting place. So number one is a fact that you probably all know. In 1915, the World's Fair was held right on these grounds, and thus why the facilities are so beautiful. And being a technowist, every World's Fair has a component of technology. And in 1915, since the telephone was so new, they actually established a link between New York and California for people in New York to be able to hear the sound of the ocean. And if you listen very, very carefully, I think the sound of the ocean is upon us. And I guess it's not. What I'm going to talk about is really something that is very dear and near to my heart, which is the power of video. I live a very privileged life. In 2006, my company introduced very high-end, high-quality video, and it's been transformative. And one of the things that I always forget, and I think everybody's using the technology, and we're not. So what I want to do here today is really share some of the knowledge that I have gained over the period of time in regards to this technology called video. Now, I'm going to make a prediction, and every now and then I throw a costume on, and it looks something like that. And the prediction I want to make is that video will be the way we communicate. That's the way we all are going to communicate. And the bottom line with it, although it's not a new idea, it's going to bring with it some tremendous transformational qualities. When I mean this is the technology we're all going to communicate, it's going to be at home, how we communicate with our family and with our friends. It's going to be at work, of course. And it's also going to be on the go on devices that we have and we're carrying with us. So we're going to become a very video-centric or video communications life. And it's going to be equivalent. For me, a phone call today is equivalent to watching Avatar movie on a black and white television. It's missing a lot of different things because I use the technology so much. So since it's not a new idea, let me share with you, back in 1910 at the Paris exhibition, there was a challenge out for people to imagine what the world was going to be like in the year 2000. So looking 90 days into the future. And if you look at it, even in 1910, not only were they thinking about the world of communications by voice, but they also had the vision of trying to do it with moving pictures. So this person actually was dreaming of video communications. It also has been very, very impactful, not only in that exhibit, but we've seen it a lot in history through film and television. As a matter of fact, in the 70s, with the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, there was communications with video. In the 1960s, when I was growing up watching the Jetsons, I don't know how many of you watched the Jetsons. Yeah, right? But also, here you've got Jane communicating with her girlfriend on the beach. Now, I'm still trying to figure out how her girlfriend on the beach had that video. It must have been a portable device. Then we saw some really incredible movies in Star Wars where they took it to a whole nother level. Now, it wasn't only about communications in a video format, but now we've got the introduction of holograms. And then if you're in the 60s, one of my favorite sci-fi television shows that probably all of us are very familiar with brought a whole nother level, which was Star Trek. And they moved it from moving bits to actually moving matter. They were teleporting humans left and right. Now, that technology hasn't really taken off for one big reason. I understand it's got a bug in it. Ba-dum-bum. Okay, I worked hard on that joke. It has a bug in it. Okay, we got it. And the key with all of these things when we're dreaming and we're envisioning things, and when you dream, it's very hard not to reference one of the greatest Imagineers in the world, Walt Disney. And one of the things he said that was very, very inspirational for me is that if you can dream it, you can do it. His whole vision started in his dream with a mouse, and look at what he had been able to create before his death. Amazing, amazing man. So, from the imagination to the reality, video phones and video communications actually became a reality in about 1957-58 with Bell Labs. And it was actually highlighted, and I visited in 1964, the World's Fair, where AT&T actually introduced the video phone. It was quite a crude device at the time, but again, they were connecting New York to California, and they were exchanging moving pictures. And this had a profound effect in my life. I think one of the reasons I'm a technowist and a technology evangelist is the fact that I was so moved at a very young age with that technology, and I saw the potential. As a matter of fact, God bless my grandma who's died a long time ago, but stayed with me for hours upon hours at the AT&T Pavilion while I kept waiting to be able to talk on the video phone. And again, tremendous impact. And it was dreamed in 1964. It was rolled out in the 70s in Pittsburgh, but it failed. And the primary reason it failed was because of cost. You know, 4 minutes on a video call was $18. If you translate it into today's dollars, it was roughly about $90 for 4 minutes. Way expensive. But I think the times are different. So what's different now than in the past? Well, there's actually the opportunity where there is a perfect storm. There are 3 things that are lining up that I think are really important to understand. First one is processing power. Video requires a lot of processing power, and I think the chips now are at a cost. We have processing power available that makes this a reality. And the other 2 things is the proliferation of broadband. We've got over 32 million households in 2010 in the United States that have broadband. And the second thing is the huge demand and absorption of high-definition televisions that are out there. When you combine all of these technologies together, I believe that high-definition video will be pervasive. And I think we're at a state where that will happen. Let me give you the so what. So we have high-def video. What makes that different? Why is that important? Why are you, Carlos, talking about this with such passion? Well, it actually, to really understand the power of very immersive video, you have to go back to our ancestors. You have to go back to prehistoric times. Before we had language, we as humans, or in the time prehistoric cavemen humans, were very highly dependent on body language for survival. We were interpreting what people were doing or what language we had by body language, by looks, and by fear. And I'm going to test to see if you folks are really accurate and would have survived prehistoric time. So I'm going to give you a facial expression, and you're going to have to kind of help me what you think it means. So here we go. That's the facial expression. What does that mean? Anybody? Oh my God. What else? Fear. And if you have fear, what's the action? You got it. So if you ever were in the prehistoric times and you saw that, that equates to run, right? Now, the interesting part with all of this, and in joking around, there's actually, I'm not a doctor, but there's a lot of physiologic behind this, in the sense that limbic systems, right, were highly, highly developed. And as a matter of fact, when you start thinking of the whole notion of us communicating face-to-face, we are highly dependent on body language because as human beings, we're very developed from the prehistoric times. As a matter of fact, Mohambrian, who was a psychologist actually out of California in the 70s, wrote a paper and basically described 3 components that make up face-to-face communications. And it was basically what you said, the tone and quality of your voice, and the third one was body language. And notice that body language is 55% of how we interpret face-to-face communication. Very, very important point, because as we talk about video and enabling these extremely immersive experiences like we have available today, the whole notion and the benefit of it is that the quality and lifelike audio, and it's very easy to use, all gives you the feeling and the great benefits just like if you were there. It's just like being there. And I can never get surprised. I use it all the time, so it doesn't wow me as much anymore. But it's always interesting to bring someone in for the first time that has never seen the technology. And all of a sudden they use it, and it's the same expression. If they're my age, they're like this, oh my God. You know, they almost with surreal. If they're 10 years old or less, they look at it and start playing because they expect it to be that way, right? Very, very different. But that is the immersive experience that's so important. Chris Anderson referred and said, what Gutenberg did for writing online video can now do for face-to-face communications. And I truly, truly believe that. So let's explore why everything is going to change. The way we live, the way we work, the way we learn, the way we play will all be different as a result of this high-quality, immersive technology that is going to change our lives. So let's begin with just examining the way we live. So imagine taking a high-definition set that you have in your home, enabling it with a high-def camera and a codec, and all of a sudden you have a window into being able to do this across the world. And just like the phone lines were in early deployment, you can only call a few people, but as this gets developed and we all have it, this will be the way we communicate. And I can tell you it's my preferred method of doing it. Now, if you take that and you have the assumption that it's available everywhere, it's going to be transformational. The way we can co-create music in this particular case, or maybe the way we get tutored, will be different. Think of the applications if you have an elderly parent living alone, on how we'd be able to now serve them through medical services, right, remotely through video. That's very, very possible. As a matter of fact, MIT has technology that can see the way a person walks and be able to determine whether they're feeling well or not, and whether a doctor should be called. These are transformational services that will be made available and will change our lives due to the video quality. So let's explore now maybe the way we learn. In Duke University, they took an auditorium like this, in typical where you do very, very large conferences, and what they ended up doing with it is changing it quite a bit. They put these large two-way monitors up in the front, and the actual demo that you're seeing there was the launch day. There's an actual connection from India in the center of California, and on the right, Singapore, and as you'll see from everything else, there's a lot of interaction. And I think the president of Duke captured it very correctly. There's a short video here that, listen to the words. He visited us in California, and this is what he had to say at the deployment day.
You in November of this year, and just to walk around your headquarters and see these things when they're still in the phase of closely held wonders, and now all of a sudden here today, they begin to enter the world of everyday life with all the benefits that will have for us for teaching and communication in all of its forms. The amazing thing is we've all participated in earlier versions of this technology, and you strain at their crudeness. But now I look at you guys, you actually respond in real time to our gestures. Look at John Doerr's smile, for instance. You know?
Wonders. Wonders no more. They're going to be in our hands, and we're going to be changing everything we do, having profound effects on education. And just imagine for one moment, why do we have to go to a university that's local to us? Why can't we get a degree from 5 different schools and go to the schools and the classes we want to go to? That, too, will be in the future. The most profound effect, I think, will be in the space of how we work. And again, the best thing is to compare and show you what my life was like. In 2006, I was lack of a better word, a road warrior, right? I traveled tons and tons of miles, somewhere around 600,000 miles. I stayed at over 220 nights on the road. I stayed in very many hotels that look like that. The worst hotels are the ones that have the air conditioning unit where the curtain is. So if you turn the air conditioner on, they're actually seeing you, right? But the good news is you can see your car. So, you know, it's got kind of a trade-off. So here or there, stay cool, check your car out, and everybody can see you naked. And if you translate it to carbon, I did a carbon calculator. I'm not 100% sure if it's fully accurate, but I went on the web and found out. But 500,000 pounds of CO2 I consumed that year, or wasted, or delivered into the ozone. Horrible. So, and let alone my family, who, by the way, is watching, that's the way I felt. And my family's watching in New Jersey through this wonderful technology. And I'm sure in 2006, they missed me, because I sure as heck missed them. 2010, very, very different. With the use of video, I'll be flying, although I still have to do these things, and it's not because of me, it's because of the remote ends. I'm still flying 100,000 miles, but I've seen 3 times more customers and had more interactions leveraging the technology. And if I do the same calculation, I've consumed 1/6 of the carbon footprint that I would normally, right? And that's very different. And we can go on and on and on with examples, and what I hope we can do. This is an example of me presenting to an audience in Barcelona, Spain, and here I am in New Jersey. Incredible, 800 people in the audience. I present, I could see them. When I went to Q&A, I was saying, gentlemen in the yellow sweater, what's your question? And they were like shocked that I could see them. Not only have we done technology like that, but we've also taken the technology and actually built something specific for presentation. So maybe next year I can do a virtual presentation. Bring a screen that's about 6 foot tall. There's a projection in the back. It's got a camera. And when you start projecting on it, the image looks something like that. And I've done several presentations where either I've physically been there or I've been there virtually. And it's quite a very interesting, again, another application of what we can do with this incredible high-definition technology and video. There's countless applications for work on how it's changing every aspect of our business. It's making us more collaborative, and that's really the key for all of this, is really to change the game on how we collaborate, and it's enabling that. Let me close with a couple of ideas of just blowing your mind a little bit. I showed you what we imagined in film, and I want to show you what we're dreaming of and bringing into the future. So imagine for one moment that I speak to you in one language, and at the remote end, you can hear another one, and do translation on the fly. Here's a crude example.
Déjeme pensarlo por un segundo.
Let me think for a second.
Por ejemplo,
For example,
se puede usar para localizar el equipaje en el carrusel.
you can use to locate the baggage in the carousel.
Not perfect, but you can imagine the barriers that will be broken as a result of technology like this. Well, I showed you the Star Wars little gig with R2-D2 projecting Princess Leia as a hologram. Well, we did that not too long ago when we were opening one of our centers in India. John Chambers, my boss,
Martin,
was there.
is that
and Martin
you?
joined us via hologram. This is a hologram.
Hi, John.
How are
Yes,
you
that's
doing?
me.
It's good to see you.
Namaste.
Sam.
I did a similar example with John Chambers in Brazil, and I have to tell you, when he came out, there were about 3,000 people in the audience. We had about 1,000 people rushing to the front, and I was extremely scared we were going to have a riot. It is really mind-blowing to see how this technology can evolve. The next one that is not in the distant future, and this is probably the closest on the horizon, is taking this video and adding some level of augmented reality above and beyond it. So this is a mock-up that I did, but we actually threw it into a lab in a very crude way to start showing not only the name of the individual on the bottom, but actually starting to give me some information about that individual. And that makes it very, very powerful, because they could put up information there that is very pertinent to that dialogue and that conversation, especially when you get as old as me, you become forgetful. So I need all the help I can get, so come on, augmented reality. With all of these things is some closing thoughts and then a video I want to leave you with. And the closing thoughts is, I firmly believe in my heart, and you will too once you experience this, that video is going to change everything. And the key as a business owner is, if pervasive video is available, what impact does that have on your business, or what new business opportunities does it create? What opportunities does it create for you to do more good, right, and change the world? And I think it's there. I also encourage you, with my philosophy of technoism, is to embrace change, to experiment, learn, and to leverage. And I'm going to close on a video that I was going to put this video a little bit closer in the middle, but I have to tell you, every time I see it, I start to cry, because it's so moving to me. And it really will exemplify everything that I've talked to. And it has to do with Operation Military Connect. And this was our desire and our hope, and we teamed up with a number of people to make this thing happen. And from in 2008, from April 2nd to July 6th, our goal was to connect and enable families at a couple of U.S. military bases to connect with their loved ones. And what happens on this screen is magical. And the thing I want to share with you is, we did on March 24, 2008, we're doing a test run on just to make sure the technology works. We had alerted everyone, and we asked the families if we could film them. So please, if you can play the video.
There's no room, no space to rent in this town. It's a beautiful day.
Hi.
Wow, look at you. You look so gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'm freaking out. I didn't think this thing was going to be this good. Hey, Mackenzie.
So what do you think? How much do you think she's changed since you left?
She got a lot bigger.
She looks like you, huh?
Yeah.
We wish you were here.
This is the next best thing.
We had Jamie's birthday today, and with the Cisco telepresence, we were able to share that in person with her.
Hey, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Jamie!
Tell me how my cake tastes.
Tastes chocolatey.
Getting to see him really helps me realize that he's over there and we're gonna have a baby and it's still okay. She's not even like moving around. She's like, okay, I'll relax so you can sit there and talk to my daddy.
Yeah, that's my girl.
I miss you.
Miss you too, hon. I'll be home shortly.
I wish we would have had it when I was there last year. Watching our child grow up through her young years, she still gets to see her first steps.
It was just like he was right there next to me.
I almost want to reach out and hug her. It was so clear.
I could have sat on his lap.
It made me feel like great inside.
I can't believe that this whole thing was set up. It's so awesome. I'm so grateful.
I'm pregnant, so it was, nicer to have that, closeness to him, even though he's so far away.
This is definitely going to help me sleep tonight, yes. I miss her so much, and I mean, this just makes it so much easier to communicate with her, to see her facial expressions when we talk. You can't see that in an email or a phone conversation.
Moxie, baby daddy. I can't wait for you to come home. It's just hard without you.
Thank you. And remember, if I leave you one thought, dream big, dream often, because what you dream, we can build. Thank you very much.
It's wonderful.